Greetings from Pastor lowercase p, McVay, lowercase m, McVay. We're going to have a little fireside chat today. Just saw Jesus Revolution. I already posted about it, loved it. Absolutely fantastic. And I thought I just want to say something about the difference between Jesus Music Revolution musicians, which I'm a part of, and CC and contemporary Christian music. Is there a gigantic difference between the two? Not really, but there is a difference. I feel the difference, very much so. I've never thought of myself as a contemporary Christian musician, because that's not how I was labeled from day one. We were called Jesus freak musicians, Jesus freaks. We were playing what the world called Jesus music, and I loved it. I loved that they called us that because it had Jesus' name in it, and that's offensive. It was later on that it was changed. I don't care who. I've had people, all kinds of hands are going up. I did it. I changed it. I did it. I don't care anything about that because I've never considered myself a contemporary Christian musician. I've always embraced that I'm from the Jesus Revolution music era. Now, what's the difference? For me, it's this. Jesus freaks, Jesus music, Jesus Revolution artists, for the most part, are apostolic in nature. They're your Larry Normans, your Keith Greens, your Randy Stonehills, your Randy Matthews, your Mustard Seed Faiths, your Love Songs, your The Way, Aslan. You know what I mean? The list goes on and on. Daniel Amos. We were apostolic in our approach to music. Yes, there was plenty of praise music. That was coming in too. But we were labeled evangelistic Jesus freak musicians because we went out in the streets evangelistically. Yeah, we sang some praise songs, but we sang songs that were more geared to a secular audience in nature. Rock songs, country rock songs, ballads, but we rocked. We set up big amps, big drums, and we cranked it for the Lord apostolically. So I embraced that. And to me, that's who I am and who these other guys are. Down the road, it morphed and got, I think, in a little bit more homogenized and palatable for the world to kind of deal with. Well, what's really going on here? Well, they're contemporary Christian music artists. Well, contemporary. Jesus' name is now missing. The most vital part. So I still embrace that to this day, and that's the difference, in my opinion. And that's my opinion. I'm not going to have a big debate on here about it. I'm expressing my opinion on my page. So I thought that was worth mentioning because watching that movie, it flooded back into my soul what went down. I mean, I really related to the character of Greg, because that's who I was when I showed up. I showed up and I was taking acid. I was smoking hash. Even when I was brought to Calvary Chapel multiple times, I was high as a kite on that stuff. But I was able to function back then because I was high all the time. And so when I heard these guys, and there's this love song right there on the stage, and I'm like, wow. I'm on my way hitchhiking back to Santa Barbara, where I'm from. I want to go back and get more drugs. Got my red, white, and blue guitar, acoustic guitar. Still got it. written all my songs about Jesus on it. But I wasn't a Christian then. I was hiding out at SCC at college, hiding from the draft. I got drafted. I was going to Vietnam in June. But it was January 1973, and I had a lot of people taking me down to this crazy place, and there they were. Not just Love Song, other bands too, but it was Love Song was the first band I heard that blew me away. And a long line formed at the end of it, because John Mailer would just walk over to the other stage, God bless them all, but the only band member, plop down in the middle of that stage with his little legs dangling over the edge. I love him so much. And a line forms. Well, I'm a musician. I want to talk to this guy. These guys sound amazing. I'm at the end of that line, and that line took an hour or longer, much longer. By now, the tent is empty. It's me and one other guy that just won't shut up. So he finally shuts up and leaves, and there's John staring at me, and I'm looking at him. Big smile on his face, and I walk up to him, and of course I shake his hand, tell him, oh, dude, I'm a drummer too. He blew me away. It's so good. You know, the same old, he hears it all day long. And he's listening and smiling at me. Just starts asking me questions about myself and things. And we had a conversation for so long, and he just filled me up with the good news of Jesus, not judging me or doing nothing. I wasn't a Christian, dude. I'm going home for more drugs. So I go to hitchhike, you know, because the freeway's right next to that place. I get on there, I hitchhike. Guess who picks me up? Taking me north, back home, where I belong. Jeff Smith, Chuck Smith's son. I'm like, wow. I didn't know that at first. I found this out halfway through the trip. So as soon as I get in the car, we're driving, I whip out a joint, and I'm like, hey, dude, shall we? And he's like, oh, thanks, man. But I'm good. I'm good. So I was like, oh, okay. So I put it away. So we're driving. So we start talking about stuff, and I mentioned, he goes, oh, you were over at the circus tent, huh? Did you hear Love Song? I said, oh, yeah, they blew me away. He goes, oh, yeah. And then just starts going off on this thing about the Lord, this, and the Lord, that. And he was only going as far as LAX. He's going to drop me off, and then I'm going to try to get home. By the time I got to LAX and he dropped me off, I walked around to the other side of the freeway and hitchhiked back, because I wanted to go back to that circus tent and hear more. And I still had some drugs left over in my dorm room, and I knew I could make it at least another week or two, maybe 3, and then I could go home. Well, a lot of things happened in that week or 2 or 3. One of them, the biggest one, the war in Vietnam ended. I didn't have to hide anymore from the draft, which I had already been drafted. I'd already passed my physical. I was supposed to report. At the last second, I came running in with a deferment at this crazy Christian college my brother was going to, because he pulled some strings and got me in. I was hiding out in my room, not going to class, going surfing, smoking weed, taking LSD, and going to hear these bands, apostolic bands at Calvary Chapel, Costa Mesa. Love Song. And now I knew the drummer. His name's John Mailer. He's as good a drummer as anyone I had ever heard. And he was pulling me in. Within just a few weeks, I was standing in front of this magnificent looking person through a friend that I had found at Calvary Chapel named Debbie Porter. We'd gone out on a few dates, and we were kind of hanging out a little bit. She liked me because I was a little wild. I was really wild. She was a little wild too, but she loved the Lord. And she says, there's someone you gotta meet. They're looking for a drummer. She knew it was a drummer. She never heard me play. I didn't even own a drum set at that time. But I was a drummer, and I was a damn good one. And I knew it. So I said, you know, while I'm going back to Santa Barbara, I'm going to move. I got to get out of here. But you know what? I'll go meet your friend. She took me to Calvary Chapel, Costa Mesa, that next Sunday, and I met this magnificent looking person who looked like, I thought, an American Indian. Jet black hair to his butt, Odin Fong. Big smile, grabs my hand, shakes it. I hear you're a drummer. Debbie's talked about you. I said, yes, I am. He goes, that's great. That's good enough for us. Would you like to audition? I said, sure. I don't own a drum set, though. Who? But what band's going to ask a drummer to come out and audition? They don't even have a drum set, on the word of a girlfriend. These guys, they go, don't worry about it. I got a drum set. So the next day I go out and audition with these guys. I'm not a Christian yet. I'm not a believer. I'm just mesmerized by this. I go, I do the audition, and somebody had played me their songs, Happy in Jesus. That's the only song I had heard played off a record, and said, oh, that's Much to See Faith. Well, dude, I like that song. I knew that song. So soon at the audition, I said, well, let's start with Happy in Jesus. I've heard that song. So I nail it. And then I said, play whatever you want. So they played whatever they want, and man, I was right there. We played for about an hour in the zone on so many things. They stopped, put their guitars down, I set down my sticks. They looked at me and they said, you want to be in the band? I said, sure, I want to be in the band. I was going home tomorrow to Santa Barbara and never coming back. They said, you're in the band. I said, well, there's a problem. You see, I got busted a few weeks ago for opinionated hash with 10 other guys at SCC, their basketball team in Newport Beach. I have a pending court date and I could be going to jail by September. They said, don't worry about it. Even if you go to jail, we like you and your style. You're in the band, you can come into the band when you get out of jail. I'm like, who are these people? Who are these people? And when I came back to my roommate and said, hey, I'm in a band now. And he goes, he knew about Calvary and what was going on. He goes, who? And I said, Mustard Seed Faith. Mustard Seed Faith? Are you kidding me? And he goes, I know who they are. And I go, yeah, that record you played for me. You're in the band? Yeah, I'm the drummer now. What? And I have a gig tomorrow. In fact, I have gigs all the way till next year. I'm telling you, go see Jesus Revolution. It is the story of my life too, and so many other people's that were in it. And so that gets me back to my main point again. Does it really matter? Jesus, music, CCM? Not really. Am I here to make a big deal about nothing now? But I have to say it. I'm not a contemporary Christian musician, and I never will be. I'm a Jesus Music Revolution guy. I'm branded. There's a tattoo on me, on my face, on my neck, on my shoulders, on everything I do that says Jesus Revolution Music Guy. And that's who I will be till the day I die. It matters to me. It may not matter to anybody else, but it sure matters to me that his name, the name of Jesus, is stamped on everything I do, everything I play, everything I write, everything I think. Rant for today by lowercase Pastor McVay. God bless.